Hey, this is Arthur Hill, Chief Technical Strategist at TrendInvestorPro.com. You are tuned into our YouTube channel for our weekly video analysis. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. So today we're going to start with the ARK ETFs. We're going to look at some performance metrics over the past year or so and also year to date. And then I'm going to look at the charts and show you how to find little signs of relative strength and what to look for a breakout. And then we're going to look at Tesla and look at that 40% decline and put it into perspective. So we're going to cover the ARK ETFs today. And if you want to know more about these ETFs, you can go to the ARK website. It is ARK-funds.com. And this is the front page here for the website. And there you can see the 8 ETFs that ARK does produce or manage. And the newest one is the Space Exploration Innovation ETF, which just started trading this week. So I'm starting off with a perf chart here. I'm showing 7 of the 8 ETFs. I'm not showing the Space Exploration ETF because it does not have enough trading history. If you're interested in a space ETF, check out UFO, appropriately symboled there. But there is, this chart's going back 200 days. I want to show 2 things here. First of all, there were just some obscene gains from the February or the March 2020 low to the February 2021 high. And second of all, these are very volatile ETFs. And volatility is a double-edged sword. On one side, you have the chance to get some outsized gains and outperformance and big advances. But with big advances, outsized gains, and outperformance comes higher risk, and that means the chances of deeper pullbacks are going to happen. And that's why today I want to put these pullbacks into perspective. So this chart shows 200 days, but I'm going to go to 230 because that covers 11 months because we had an 11-month run in these ETFs. So if you, I'm going to go a little bit longer. So you can see there's that low there in March. And if I get it to where it ends on that low, about, and so prices start up around here, you can see that 3 of these were up more than 300% from the March low to the February high, and that was around 230 days or 11 months. So the Genomic ETF was the best performer, the Innovation ETF next, and then the WebX ETF, which would be the next generation internet ETF. And then we can see the laggards, but geez, the laggards are still doublers. The weakest one was the Israeli Innovation ETF. It just got up 150% from that mid-March low. So it's been a big move. And even with the declines that we've seen, you know, the Israeli ETF is up 100% still, and these other ones are up more than 200%. So now I want to right click on that perf chart and I'm going to go year to date. And we can see how these ETFs are performing in 2021. It's about 3 months right now. So they started off with a bang. And if you look here, you can see from late January to mid-February, all of them move sharply higher. And look at that. It's a huge move there. If you hover over that chart, you can see which one it is. It'll pop out there and give you the symbol. Of course, I asked for it to do it, and it doesn't. But we saw it doing that before. It is the black line, so that would be the 3D printing ETF. But we can see all of them declined. And as far as gains are concerned, I'll flip to a histogram format. We can see the autonomous vehicles is up year to date, and 3D printing is up year to date. And so is the Israeli Innovation ETF. So these are the 3 leaders in 2021. They are holding up better. And I want to single out these 3 because of that relative strength. And also I'm seeing a little relative chart strength when we look at the charts. And as far as being above the 200-day, these 3, or the 2 at least, the autonomous vehicle and the printing ETF, are the furthest above their 200-day moving averages. And note that all 7 are above their 200-day moving averages, and their 200-day moving averages are rising. So I first put these in candle glance format, and I'm showing the space exploration ETF as well as Tesla in this group. And this way we can get a quick overview and compare price action. Now there you can see the red line is the 200-day moving average, and it's barely coming into play on that next-gen internet ETF. But you can see you're above on all the ETFs, and including Tesla. Tesla's above its rising 200-day moving average. The second thing I want to point out is the percentage above the 200-day moving average. Now, there's an indicator for that on Stock Charts ACP if you have the TIP Indicator Edge plugin. But the two that are the furthest above are the Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. Look at that. And the 3D Printing ETF. Look at how far above the 200-day moving average. So these two are the best performers in 2021, and they're the furthest above the 200-day. So by that metric, they are showing some relative strength relative to the others. So now I want to look at the price charts, and this price chart does not have any of Wednesday's price action or Thursday's when you see this video, but we're looking at a longer-term perspective here. And what I've got here is I've got a longer-term daily chart here in the left window and the 200-day moving average. This is the ARK Fintech Innovation ETF. And you can see that, look at that move. And there really wasn't a correction during this move. This is the first pullback. And so when I talk about putting a decline into perspective, look at the size of this move. You would expect a big decline after such a move. And so you can see it's retraced like 1/3 of that big advance, and it's above the rising 200-day, and that's why I consider it a correction within the bigger uptrend. Now, I use this line chart here with the dots marking the closing prices to identify medium-term patterns, but you can see there's just been no real pullbacks. You had like a 3-day pullback, a resumption. You had a 3-week pullback that wasn't very deep and a resumption. And you can see you were zigzagging higher here. And then you had an 11-day advance here, a big 20+% advance with 11 days up in a row. And that was the blow off top. And then we came down. There's the March 8th low. And this is kind of a benchmark low. So you came pretty much all the way back to that low. And anything that held well above that low shows relative strength. So if I think now, I think QQQ, XLK, IGN, those three held well above the March 8th low. Those are showing relative strength. And then I look at the ARKs, and I see two that are standing out. But we'll get to those here in a minute. The second thing I want to show you is RSI. You can see it turns blue when it goes below 50, and it's been mostly below 50 since the latter part of February. And so that means the cup is half empty, and it can't get above 50 and stay above 50. And so it needs to break above 55 to get some sort of a momentum signal. And then there's the percentage above the 200-day, 11.64%. The other ones are 20%. So this one really isn't on my radar because it's not showing that tell sign of relative strength that could foreshadow relative strength on the upside, so to speak. But what I'm noticing, if I look at this candlestick chart in the lower left, we did have a meeting lines pattern and a little consolidation, and we're getting a little bit of a breakout today. If we go back to the candle glance chart I showed you, they're all up today. So we're getting a little bit of a breakout. So the reason I'm showing you these charts is because this is the chart style or layout that I use on trendinvestorpro.com when I'm looking at my core list of ETFs, around 120 ETFs, and I'm selecting the best trends, the best setups, and the best patterns for you. I'm looking at 3 different time frames. A long-term time frame in the upper left, a medium-term time frame is the big window, and I use a close-only chart to filter out the noise. Sometimes I use a bar chart. That's still open for debate. And then a candlestick chart for timing. So we have 3 things at work here. So here we are. We're on the ARKQ ARKQ, which is the Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. I mean, look at this advance. You know, a couple of small pullbacks, but this is the biggest pullback, and it hasn't even retraced 1/3 of the advance. So this is pretty much a normal pullback, if you will. And then if we look at it relative to the advance from September to February, it retraced around half. So that's like 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. And there's that March 8th low, and we held further above it than the first ETF I showed you from ARK, ARKF. So a little bit of relative strength. And then there you can see RSI. If it breaks above 55, that's the first momentum signal. And then we can see some strength coming on the candlesticks because we have this meeting lines as we tested, but you can see we tested on the intraday lows, but if you look at the close only chart on the right, it's a higher low. So candlesticks give you a lot of intraday noise. Sure, they give you more information, but sometimes that information is noise. So this is a meeting lines pattern. You have a long black candlestick to climb, you have a weak open and a strong close near the close of that prior candlestick. And so it's a bullish reversal pattern, and you got confirmation with a further advance the last 2-3 days and one more, including today. So it looks like this one is ready to turn back up. And the other one is the 3D Print ETF, and it's similar in that it's had this huge run and a big pullback, a slightly higher low from March 8th to March 24th, so a little bit of relative strength. RSI still bearish, but it needs to get above 55 to turn bullish. And you can see we're 28% above the 200-day. So this one is trying to make a little turn here. So here's the main analysis page at trendinvestorpro.com where all of the analysis is posted. And at the top, you can always check the current market regime. Are we in a bull or a bear market? This is with the proprietary breadth models. And we have the ranking, trends, and setups table for 100 and something ETFs. And then there you can see an article on the ARK ETFs with some charts. We also look at cars because it is setting up. And then I covered Tesla, which I'm going to cover next. And we also have a very comprehensive weekend video covering a large variety of ETFs, trends, patterns, and setups. So here's the chart for Tesla, and we can see that it has pretty much been in an uptrend since that big breakout there in October 2019. So it has this big breakout, a big surge, and then it falls like 60%. But it's still a correction within a bigger uptrend because this is just a humongous advance. It more than tripled, and so it's going to give back some at some point. Then it has another big run, and it falls over 30%. And it doesn't move to the 40-week moving average. It just consolidates. And then you get another big run, and it falls 40%. But now it's been consolidating. And so you've been basically having big moves up, big moves down, all within a bigger uptrend. And there you can see a resistance zone, and I'm watching there for a breakout. So if you'd like to know more about trendinvestorpro.com, you can click on the link in the description below. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again next week. Have a great day.